A desperate father abandoned his baby on a deserted road under the cover of night. As the infant's cries filled the cold air, a lone wolf emerged from the forest. What was meant to be a tragic end turned into an unexpected act of salvation, changing everything. Night fell over the outskirts of Denver, Colorado. The biting cold slipped between the trees of a dense forest lining a deserted highway. A car came to an abrupt halt on the shoulder. The driver's door opened and a man stepped out, holding a small bundle tightly in his arms. Hesitantly, he moved into the shadows of the woods. After a few minutes, he stopped in a clearing. His trembling hands lowered the bundle to the ground. It was an infant, only a few months old, wrapped in a worn blue blanket. "I'm sorry, Aiden," the man whispered, his voice breaking. "One day, you'll understand. This is for the best." Without looking back, he disappeared into the darkness, leaving baby Aiden alone in the chilling night air. The child's cries pierced the silence of the forest, echoing into the emptiness as though no one could hear. Or so it seemed. A sudden rustling among the nearby bushes caught the attention of the trees. Bright yellow eyes emerged from the shadows. A magnificent grey wolf, majestic and cautious, stepped into the clearing, its gaze fixed on the crying infant. The wolf sniffed the air and moved closer to Aiden. Sensing the presence, the baby's cries softened, his wide eyes meeting the wolf's. In that shared glance, something profound happened. The animal, instead of posing a threat, curled around the tiny boy, creating a cocoon of warmth and safety. The wolf's fur became a shield against the night's chill, and Aiden instinctively nestled into the creature's thick coat, feeling secure for the first time since being abandoned. Hours passed as the wolf stood guard, its ears pricked for any hint of danger. When the first light of dawn touched the treetops, the animal rose. Gently, it gripped the edge of Aiden's blanket in its teeth and with deliberate care shifted the child onto its back. With his precious burden, the wolf set off deeper into the forest, each step purposeful, every movement protective. Their journey was mysterious, the destination unknown, but the wolf's resolve was unmistakable, to safeguard this fragile life that fate had delivered. As they traversed winding paths, Aiden, unaware of the peril and wonder surrounding him, drifted into a peaceful sleep, rocked by the wolf's steady gait. The forest, once a place of stark, silent danger, transformed into a sanctuary for this unlikely duo. The wolf trod on for hours, pausing now and then to ensure Aiden was safe and at ease. As the sun climbed higher, the dense woods began to thin, opening into a clearing. At the center stood a modest log cabin, smoke curling from its chimney into the blue sky. The wolf halted at the edge of the clearing, watching warily. The cabin door opened, and a couple stepped out. A tall, broad-shouldered man and a kind-looking woman. They were Marcus and Isabel, the only residents of this isolated corner of the forest. Isabel gasped when she noticed the wolf. Her soft exclamation brought Marcus to her side, his posture protective, but soon shifting to astonishment as he spotted the small bundle on the wolf's back. "Marcus, look!" Isabel cried, pointing. "It's a baby!" The wolf, deliberate and unhurried, moved forward and gently laid Aiden on the ground. The infant stirred and began to cry softly. Overcoming her initial fear, Isabel approached and scooped the baby into her arms. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered, cradling him as she tried to soothe his sobs. "Where did you come from?" Marcus, still bewildered, stepped closer. Together, they stared at the wolf, which sat watching them, eyes conveying an odd mixture of intelligence and concern. "It's as if it brought him to us," Marcus said, struggling to believe what he saw. Isabel nodded, feeling an unspoken bond with the creature. "Thank you," she whispered to the wolf. "We'll take good care of him." As if understanding Isabel's words, the wolf tilted its head slightly. With one final glance at Aiden, it turned and slipped back into the forest, vanishing among the trees as mysteriously as it had appeared. Marcus and Isabel exchanged a look, aware that their lives had just shifted in a way they could never reverse. "What do we do now?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Isabel, gently caressing Aiden's cheek, replied with unwavering determination. "We do what we must. This little one needs us, Marcus. We can't abandon him." Moved by his wife's resolve and the tenderness of the moment, Marcus nodded. "You're right. We'll raise him as our own." Under the clear blue skies of the American countryside, in a small, secluded cabin nestled among the woods, Aiden found a new home and a family. But this was only the prologue to a tale woven with mysteries, secrets, and a destiny that was already carved in the stars. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Life in the small cabin changed dramatically with Aiden's arrival. Marcus and Isabel, who had long yearned for a child of their own, poured all their love and attention into the boy who fate had delivered to them so unexpectedly. Aiden thrived, healthy and strong, surrounded by the unconditional love of his adoptive parents. His laughter filled the cabin, and his first steps were celebrated as if they were the greatest of miracles. Yet, as he grew, an inexplicable sense of restlessness began to stir inside him, a feeling he couldn't understand. One afternoon, when Aiden was 5, he played in the backyard while Isabel kept watch through the kitchen window as she prepared dinner. Suddenly, a distant howl echoed from the forest. Aiden froze, his wide eyes searching the edge of the trees with a mix of excitement and curiosity. "Mom!" he shouted eagerly. "I heard the wolf! The wolf is there!" Isabel rushed outside, her heart thumping in her chest. Since that fateful night 5 years ago, they hadn't seen the mysterious wolf that had brought Aiden to them. Occasionally, they'd hear distant howls, as though the animal was watching over them, a guardian from the shadows. "Aiden, sweetheart, come inside," Isabel said, trying to steady her voice. "Dinner's almost ready." But Aiden remained rooted to the spot, his gaze fixed on the forest as if willing the wolf to appear. "Mom, why won't the wolf come see me? Doesn't it like me?" The innocent question tightened Isabel's chest. She and Marcus had chosen not to reveal the truth about his origins just yet. How could they explain to a 5-year-old that he had been abandoned and saved by a creature of the wild? "The wolf has its own life in the forest, my love," Isabel said carefully, "but I'm sure it cares about you and watches over you from afar." Aiden nodded, though the answer seemed to leave a lingering dissatisfaction. That night at dinner, he was quieter than usual. Marcus and Isabel shared anxious glances across the table. "What's on your mind, champ?" Marcus asked, tousling Aiden's hair affectionately. "You seem deep in thought." Aiden pushed his food around his plate for a moment before speaking. "Dad, why do we live so far from everything? Why don't I have friends like the kids in my stories?" The question caught both parents off guard. They knew this moment would come, but hadn't expected it so soon. Marcus looked to Isabel for support. "Well, Aiden," Isabel said softly, "we chose to live here because we love nature and the peace of the forest, but we understand that it can feel lonely sometimes. How about we visit the town this weekend?" Marcus suggested, hoping to lift their son's spirits. "You could meet other kids and play with them." Aiden's eyes lit up at the idea. "Really? Can we go?" "Of course," Isabel said, relieved to see a smile brighten his face. "It'll be a grand adventure." That night, after putting Aiden to bed, Marcus and Isabel sat together by the fireplace, their minds heavy with the unknowns of the future. "He's growing, Isabel," Marcus said with a sigh. "Soon he'll have more questions." Isabel squeezed her husband's hand, drawing comfort from his touch. "We'll tell him the truth, Marcus, when the time is right. For now, let's give him the happy childhood he deserves." As the couple spoke in hushed tones, they failed to notice a shadow shifting in the dim light outside the cabin. The wolf, true to its silent promise, kept watch, guarding Aiden with an alert eye as he anticipated their trip to town. That Saturday morning, the little family prepared for their outing. They climbed into Marcus's old pickup truck and set off toward town. For Aiden, the journey was nothing short of enchanting. His wide eyes took in every sight with wonder: the clustered houses, the cobblestone streets, the lively buzz of people at the market square. Everything felt vibrant and new. At the town park, Aiden encountered children his own age for the first time. Tentatively, he joined them, brimming with excitement. "Look, Mom!" he shouted joyfully as he swung back and forth. "I'm flying!" Isabel and Marcus watched their son, their faces a blend of joy and bittersweet longing. It was clear Aiden needed this, needed the interaction and connection with a world beyond the forest. While Aiden played, a woman approached Isabel. "Your son is adorable," she said warmly. "I don't think I've seen you around here before." A tightness formed in Isabel's chest. "Oh, we live on the outskirts," she replied, her tone deliberately vague. "We don't come to town often." The woman nodded, but a flicker of curiosity glimmered in her eyes. "Interesting," she continued. "He has a familiar look about him. Where are you originally from?" Before Isabel could fumble for an answer, Aiden came bounding over, saving her from the probing questions. "Mom, Dad, can we come back next week, please?" The ride home was filled with Aiden's excited chatter as he recounted every moment of his day. But as they ventured deeper into the woods, his voice quieted. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Isabel asked, noticing the shift. Aiden gazed out the window at the blur of passing trees. "I liked the town," he whispered, "but I'm glad we're going home. It's like the forest calls to me." Marcus and Isabel exchanged a knowing glance. Aiden's words were a poignant reminder of the unexplainable bond he shared with the woods and its mysterious guardian. That night, after putting an exhausted but happy Aiden to bed, Marcus and Isabel sat on the porch, listening to the whispers of the forest. "Do you think it was right to take him to town?" Isabel asked, breaking the silence. Marcus exhaled deeply. "I think so. Aiden needs to know there's a world beyond these trees." "Yes, but he also belongs here," Isabel added, perfectly understanding her husband's conflicted feelings. "Exactly," Marcus nodded. "It's like he has a foot in both worlds. I worry that one day we'll have to choose." Isabel moved closer, finding solace in his embrace. "For now, we can only do our best for him and hope fate is kind." As they spoke, they were unaware of the pair of eyes glowing at the edge of the forest. The wolf, ever watchful, seemed to understand the weight of the moment. The years went by, and Aiden grew into a curious 15-year-old with an inexplicable bond to the forest surrounding him. His trips to town had become more frequent, allowing him to make friends and taste a more conventional life. Yet, he always felt an unseen pull, an unspoken call, drawing him back to the comfort of the trees. One warm summer afternoon, while helping Marcus split wood for the winter, Aiden's axe struck something solid buried in an old log. "What's this?" he muttered, brushing aside splinters and bark. Marcus stepped closer, intrigued. "What did you find, son?" With care, Aiden pulled out a metal object from the heart of the log, a rusted tin box, aged and sealed tight. "It looks ancient," Aiden said, studying it with fascination. "Should we open it?" Marcus hesitated, a shiver of foreboding running through him as if secrets best left buried were about to surface. But Aiden's eager expression was enough to sway him. "Go ahead," Marcus finally said. "Let's see what treasure is hidden." Aiden, hands trembling, lifted the lid of the box. Inside, he found a bundle of old, yellowed photographs, a few letters tied together with a faded ribbon, and a small silver locket. Aiden picked up one of the photographs and studied it closely. The picture showed a young man standing next to an old car, grinning at the camera while holding a baby that looked strikingly familiar. Marcus felt his world come to a standstill. He had anticipated this day for a long time, but he wasn't ready for it to arrive like this. "Aiden," he began, choosing his words with care, "there's something your mother and I have wanted to tell you for a long time." But before he could continue, a sharp cry pierced the silence of the woods. It was Isabel's voice. "Marcus! Aiden! Come quickly!" Forgetting their discovery for a moment, father and son rushed toward the cabin. They found Isabel on the porch, pale and shaking, pointing toward the edge of the woods. There, barely visible among the trees, was a wolf. It had been years since one had ventured so close to the cabin. But the most astonishing thing was what it carried in its mouth. A letter. Without a second thought, Aiden began walking toward the animal. Marcus moved to stop him, but Isabel held his arm firmly, shaking her head. "It's his destiny, Marcus," she whispered. "We can't protect him from the truth any longer." Aiden approached the wolf cautiously. The animal remained still, its eyes locked on his. When he was close enough, the wolf set the letter gently on the ground. The envelope was old and creased, but the name on it was unmistakably clear. For Aiden. He glanced at the wolf, then back at his parents, before looking down at the letter in his hands. "What's happening?" he whispered. Isabel stepped forward and embraced her son tightly. "It's time you knew the truth, sweetheart. All of it." That night, as they sat around the kitchen table with the metal box, the mysterious letter, and years of unspoken secrets between them, the family braced themselves for a conversation that would alter their lives forever. Marcus began. "Aiden, 15 years ago, on a night colder than any we'd known, we heard cries coming from the forest. We ventured out and found something we could never have expected. We found you wrapped in nothing but a thin blanket lying by the water's edge." Aiden's eyes widened, struggling to take it all in. "A wolf, the same one we just saw?" Marcus nodded. "We think so. We never fully understood that night, but we knew you were meant to be with us." With shaky hands, Aiden opened the letter the wolf had delivered. The handwriting was rushed, as if penned in a moment of desperation. "Dear Aiden," he read aloud, "if you're reading this, it means the time has come for you to learn the truth about where you come from. My name is Cole, and I am your biological father." Silence fell over the room as Aiden absorbed the words. In the letter, Cole recounted how he had been forced to leave Aiden to protect him from a looming threat, though he didn't reveal what the danger was. He wrote of a secretive organization, of family mysteries stretching back generations, and of a unique bond with nature and wolves. "I know it's a lot to take in, my son," the letter continued, "but please understand, I never wanted to leave you. Every day since then has been agony. I have watched you grow from afar, ensuring you were safe. The wolf that brought you this letter is not just any animal. He is a guardian, a protector of our family for countless generations. Trust him, Aiden. He will lead you to your true destiny. The letter ended with an ominous warning. Beware the men in black suits. They seek what runs in your veins. When you are ready, follow the wolf. He will take you where you need to go. Aiden dropped the letter onto the table, his mind a storm of emotions and questions. He looked at Marcus and Isabel, the parents who had raised him, loved him for 15 years. Did you know all of this? He asked, his voice cracking with emotion. Isabel shook her head. No, my love, we only knew we found you in the forest. This is new to us too. Marcus reached out and took Aiden's hand. Son, no matter what that letter says, you are our son in every way that matters. We love you, and we always will. Aiden nodded, moved by the unconditional love of his adoptive parents, yet a part of him burned with the desire to uncover more about his origins. The mysterious figure of Cole and the wolf's connection nagged at him. What do we do now? He asked, glancing between Marcus and Isabel. Before they could answer, a distant howl broke the silence. Aiden jumped up and rushed to the window. There, at the forest's edge, the wolf stood, its silhouette stark against the moonlight. I think, Aiden said slowly, it's time I find out who I really am. Marcus and Isabel exchanged a look, understanding they could no longer hold back what was meant to happen. Aiden's long-delayed destiny had finally caught up to him. The following days swept by in a whirlwind of preparations and emotions. Aiden, driven by an insatiable need for answers, was determined to follow the wolf and uncover the truth about his past. Marcus and Isabel, despite their fear, knew they couldn't stop him. "Promise us you'll be careful," Isabel pleaded as she hugged him tightly on the morning of his departure, "and that you'll come back to us." With a lump in his throat, Aiden promised, "I will, Mom. No matter what I find, you are my family." Marcus handed him a backpack packed with supplies and an old satellite phone. "So you can reach us," he explained. "We don't know how far this journey will take you." After a final embrace and one last glance at the cabin that had been home for 15 years, Aiden stepped into the forest. He hadn't gone far when the wolf appeared, emerging silently from the thicket. "Hey, friend," Aiden whispered, "ready to lead the way?" The wolf locked eyes with him, as if weighing his resolve, then turned and began to walk, glancing back now and then to ensure Aiden followed. The journey was long and grueling. Day after day, Aiden shadowed the wolf through dense woods, waded across streams, and scaled rugged hills. Along the way, he noticed subtle changes in their surroundings. The trees appeared older, wiser, almost as if they whispered secrets to the wind. The air grew thick with a strange, inexplicable energy. One night, as they rested by a small fire, Aiden had the uncanny feeling that they were being watched. "Is someone there?" he called, his voice shaking. Out of the shadows stepped an elderly woman, cloaked in traditional garb, leaning on an intricately carved staff. Her eyes, though clouded with age, gleamed with an ancient wisdom. "We've been waiting for you, Aiden," she said, her voice raspy yet firm. "I am Vivian, keeper of your clan's secrets." Aiden rose, astonished. "My clan? What do you mean?" Vivian settled by the fire, gesturing for Aiden to sit beside her. "Your family, child, is far from ordinary. You descend from an ancient line of guardians, protectors of the balance between nature and mankind." As the night deepened, Vivian wove a tale that felt pulled from the pages of a legend. She spoke of an age-old pact between humans and forest spirits, of how Aiden's ancestors had been chosen to uphold it through generations. "The wolves," she explained, "are our closest allies. They share our blood, our magic. Your connection to them is the mark of your heritage." Aiden listened, enthralled and overwhelmed in equal measure. But why was I abandoned? Why did my father leave me in the forest? A shadow passed over Vivian's face. That is a sad story, my boy. Your father, Cole, was the strongest of his time. 15 years ago, however, greedy men discovered our secret. They sought to use our bond with nature for their selfish gains. The men in black suits, Aiden whispered, recalling the warning in his father's letter. Vivian nodded solemnly. Cole hid you to protect you. He knew the wolf would lead you to safety. He has spent these past 15 years deflecting attention away from you, keeping you hidden. And now? Aiden asked. Why call me after all this time? Because the time has come, Aiden, Vivian said, her eyes gleaming in the firelight. The balance is at risk. We need your help to restore it. That night, as Aiden lay beneath the stars, sleep eluded him, his mind swirling with emotions and unanswered questions. How could he, a boy raised in a secluded forest cabin, be the key to preserving the world's harmony? At dawn, Vivian guided him to a hidden cave deep in the woods. Inside, Aiden discovered ancient symbols carved into the stone walls, recounting the history of his lineage. Here, Vivian said, pointing to a section of the wall. This is where your story begins, Aiden. As he traced the carvings with his fingers, he felt an inexplicable connection, as if the tales of his ancestors were springing to life within him. Suddenly, a vivid vision overwhelmed him. He saw generations of guardians, men and women with eyes like his, striding alongside majestic wolves, protecting the forest from both natural and supernatural threats. What? What was that? Aiden gasped, stumbling back. Vivian steadied him with a surprising strength for someone of her age. It is your legacy, my child. The memories of your ancestors flow through your veins. It's too much, Aiden whispered, the burden of centuries of duty pressing down on him. I don't know if I can do this. You can, and you must, Vivian said with unwavering resolve. Destiny doesn't choose those who are prepared. It prepares those who are chosen. At that moment, the wolf that had led Aiden here approached, nuzzling his hand with its snout. A wave of calm and reassurance spread through him. Your companion gives you strength, Vivian said with a rare smile. Together, you are capable of great things. The following days passed in a blur of training and revelations. Vivian and other clan members who arrived from far and wide taught Aiden the secrets of his heritage, how to communicate with the animals of the forest, sense the energy flows of the earth, and heal with the properties of wild plants. But it wasn't all wonder and magic. Vivian warned him about lurking dangers. The men in black suits, as you call them, are just the beginning, she said one night as they shared a meal around the fire. They belong to an organization called New Dawn. They believe they can subdue nature, bend it to their will for power and wealth. And my father. Aiden's voice wavered. Where is he now? Vivian's expression darkened. Cole has been playing a dangerous game, infiltrating New Dawn to sabotage their plans from within. We haven't heard from him in months. A pang of worry shot through Aiden for the father he'd never known. We have to help him, and we will, Vivian said firmly. But first, you must complete your training. The battle ahead will require everything you've learned. As Aiden immersed himself in the rigorous lessons, miles away in a small town outside Boston, Marcus and Isabel faced their own nightmare. 2 weeks after Aiden's departure, a group of men in dark suits appeared at their doorstep. We're looking for Aiden, said the leader, a tall man with cold eyes. We know he used to live here. Marcus stepped protectively in front of Isabel. We don't know what you're talking about. There's no Aiden here. The man's smile was thin, devoid of warmth. Mr. Marcus, Mrs. Isabel, we know more than you think. It would be wise to cooperate, for your own safety. The days that followed were a living hell for the couple. The New Dawn agents combed through their house, questioned their neighbors, and kept an unyielding watch over the property. We need to warn Aiden, Isabel whispered one night, when they finally had a moment of privacy. Marcus nodded, pulling out an old satellite phone they'd hidden away. With trembling hands, he sent a brief message. Danger, men in black here. Stay safe. We love you. Far from there, Aiden continued to meet the members of his clan. They were people of all ages, from children to the elderly, all sharing that same deep gaze and bond with nature that Aiden himself was beginning to understand. Among them, a girl about his age stood out. She had dark hair and green eyes that seemed to glimmer with an inner light. I'm Stella, she said, extending her hand. I've heard a lot about you, Aiden. Aiden felt an immediate bond with Stella, as if they had known each other forever. Are you part of the clan too? He asked. Stella nodded. My mother was your father's closest friend. We grew up listening to stories about the lost son of the great Cole. Before they could say more, Vivian's voice rose, commanding everyone's attention. Brothers and sisters, she called, her voice echoing across the clearing. The moment we've feared is here. Nuevo Amanecer is closing in. It's time we stand united and fight. A murmur of anxiety rippled through the assembly. Aiden noticed glances darting his way, filled with a mix of hope and doubt. I know some of you are uncertain, Vivian continued. Aiden is young and hasn't finished his training, but the blood of generations of guardians runs through his veins. With our support, he can lead us into this fight. Aiden felt the weight of dozens of eyes on him, heavy with expectation. How could he possibly live up to it? Sensing his unease, Stella reached for his hand. You're not alone, she whispered. We're in this together. That night, while the clan debated plans and strategies, Aiden slipped away to the edge of the clearing. He needed a moment to process everything unfolding around him. His wolf, ever faithful, padded behind him. What do you think, my friend? Aiden asked, running his fingers through the animal's thick fur. Can I really do this? In response, the wolf let out a soft, haunting howl. Suddenly, another vision overtook Aiden. He saw his father, Cole, youthful and strong by his side, holding him steady. Stella's voice pulled him back to the present. What did you see? She asked gently. My father, Aiden said. I think he's in danger. We need to find him. Stella's eyes shone with determination. Then that's exactly what we'll do. Together. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility controlled by Nuevo Amanecer, Cole fought against his captors. Weeks had passed since they found and captured him, but he refused to give up the secrets of the clan. It's only a matter of time, said the leader of Nuevo Amanecer, the same man who had interrogated Marcus and Isabel. Your son will come for you, and when he does, we'll have everything we need. Despite the exhaustion and pain, Cole let out a defiant laugh. You don't know my son or the power he holds. Just then, as if summoned by some silent call, a wolf's howl echoed in the distance. Cole closed his eyes, a mix of pride and trepidation flooding him. The final battle was drawing near. The following morning, a tense stillness blanketed the camp. The clan was preparing for the confrontation they knew was inevitable. Aiden stood at the center of the preparations, Stella unwavering at his side. Remember your training? Vivian said, pressing an ancient talisman into his hand. This amulet has been passed down through our family for generations. It will protect you and amplify your powers." Aiden accepted the talisman, feeling its weight, both physical and symbolic. It was a silver disc with intricate engravings of wolves and trees, and at its heart a green stone that seemed to glow with its own light. "How will we know where to find my father?" Aiden asked, the worry evident in his voice. Stella, who had been studying an old map, stepped forward. "I think I've figured it out," she said, pointing to a specific spot. "There are whispers about a secret Nuevo Amanece base here in the mountains. It's the most likely place." Vivian nodded approvingly. "Well done, Stella. Aiden, you and a small team will go to rescue Cole. The rest of us will keep Nuevo Amanece occupied and protect the forest." As preparations continued, Aiden withdrew to a quiet spot with his wolf. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," he confessed, fingers deep in the animal's fur. "What if I fail? What if I can't save my father or protect the clan?" The wolf fixed him with a knowing stare, and for the first time, Aiden heard a voice within his mind. "The strength is within you, young guardian. Trust in your heart and in the wisdom of your ancestors." Surprised and bolstered by this newfound bond, Aiden hugged the wolf. "Thank you, my friend. Together, we can do this." As dusk fell, the rescue team led by Aiden and Stella set out. They moved silently through the forest, guided by both the wolves and Aiden's deep connection to the natural world. As they neared the mountains, an unmistakable sense of danger hung heavy in the air. "Something's not right," Stella whispered, coming to an abrupt stop. "It's as if the forest itself is crying out." Aiden felt it too, a dull ache deep in his chest, a profound sense of the surrounding nature's suffering. "New dawn," he muttered, eyes narrowing. "They must be using some kind of technology that's hurting the forest." When they finally reached the New Dawn installation, the source of their fear became clear. Towering structures of metal and concrete loomed above, stark and unnatural against the greenery. Massive machines throbbed with an eerie hum, emitting energy pulses that made the air shiver. "They're trying to harness the forest's energy," said one of the clan members, a note of horror in his voice. "If they succeed, they'll destroy the natural balance forever." A surge of rage and determination welled up in Aiden. "We won't let that happen," he said, his voice infused with an authority that surprised even him. "Stella, you and the others create a diversion. I'm going to find my father." "You're not going alone," Stella replied, gripping his hand firmly. "I'm coming with you." Amidst the chaos unleashed by the clan's attack, Aiden and Stella slipped into the installation. The amulet around Aiden's neck glowed brightly, guiding them through darkened corridors. At last, they reached a heavily guarded chamber. "This must be it," Aiden whispered. With a nod, he signaled his wolf to move. The animal darted forward like a shadow, taking down the guards before they could raise the alarm. Inside, they found Cole, weakened and injured, yet his eyes shone with relief when he saw Aiden. "My son," he rasped, voice raw with emotion. "I knew you would come." Aiden rushed to him, tears streaming down his face. "Dad," was all he managed to say as he embraced him. But their reunion was cut short by the blare of an alarm. "We have to go," Stella urged. As they raced through the hallways, they came face to face with the leader of New Dawn and his armed guards. "Well, well," the man said with a cruel smile. "The family. Together at last. What a shame it won't last long." Aiden stepped protectively in front of his father, and Stella, the amulet on her chest blazing with an intense light, stood by his side. "It ends here," Aiden declared, his voice echoing with raw power. "We won't let you keep hurting the forest." The leader of New Dawn laughed mockingly. "And how do you think you'll stop us, boy? We have technology beyond your wildest dreams." In that instant, something stirred inside Aiden. It was as if the strength and wisdom of generations of his ancestors coursed through him. He extended his hands, and to the astonishment of everyone, the plants and vines lining the corridors sprang to life, entwining themselves around the New Dawn guards. The power of nature, Stella breathed in awe. Seizing the moment of confusion, Aiden, Stella, and Cole made their escape. The forest seemed to respond to Aiden's presence, opening pathways and hiding them from their pursuers. "Incredible!" Stella gasped as they ran. "Aiden, you're controlling the forest." Aiden, still reeling from the realization of his own abilities, could only nod. He felt the forest's energy pulsing through him as if it were a part of him. Despite his frailty, Cole's face glowed with pride. "I always knew you were special, my son, the strongest of our line for generations." They reached a clearing where the clan was locked in battle with New Dawn's forces. The clash was fierce, technology clashing against the ancient magic of the clan. Vivian, leading the defense, ran up to them. "Cole, thank the spirits you're safe," she said, then turned to Aiden. "It's time, young guardian. Use your power to protect the forest and defeat New Dawn once and for all." Aiden glanced around, taking in the brave warriors of his clan, Stella's unwavering gaze beside him, his father newly found, and the wolves that had guided and defended them. A sense of purpose anchored him. "What must I do?" he asked. Vivian pointed to the center of the clearing where a moss-covered ancient stone jutted from the earth. The Guardian's stone stood as the core of the forest's power. To connect with it meant wielding the force of nature itself. Aiden nodded, determination sparking in his eyes, and stepped forward. The chaos of battle seemed to retreat around him, as though he was encapsulated in a bubble of serene silence. Stella followed closely behind him. "I'm coming with you," she declared, resolute. Together they reached the Guardian's stone. Aiden placed his hand on the ancient surface and felt an electrifying surge course through him. Visions of past Guardians, countless and vivid, flooded his mind. "Stella," he gasped, "I need your help. Take my hand." Without hesitation, Stella grasped his hand, their fingers intertwining. The power intensified, and Aiden's amulet shone like a brilliant star. The stone itself pulsed with a soft green luminescence. From across the battlefield, the leader of the New Dawn spotted them and yelled to his men, "Stop them! Don't let them complete the bond!" But it was too late. Aiden closed his eyes and embraced the full might of the forest. When they opened again, they glowed with an emerald brilliance. "Enough!" he commanded, his voice imbued with an otherworldly authority. "This forest and its secrets do not belong to you." With a wave of his hand, the ground shuddered. Roots and vines erupted, ensnaring the machinery of the New Dawn and disarming their soldiers. The wind roared, carrying the cries of wolves, and the forest's creatures surged forth, defending the clan fiercely. The leader, realizing defeat was at hand, turned to flee. But Aiden raised a barrier of towering trees from the earth itself, halting his escape. "It's over," Aiden said, approaching him. "The New Dawn will no longer threaten this forest or my family." With a final gesture, he summoned the ground to swallow the enemy's harmful technology. Silence settled over the clearing, broken only by the rustle of leaves and the soft songs of birds. The glow in Aiden's eyes gradually dimmed, and exhaustion overcame him. Stella caught him just as he stumbled. "You did it," she whispered, tears of joy welling up. "You saved the forest." Cheers erupted from the clan. Cole limped forward, supported by Vivian. "I'm so proud of you, my son," Cole said, pulling Aiden into an embrace. "You have fulfilled your destiny and more." Vivian's eyes gleamed with wisdom. "This is only the beginning, young guardian. Your journey has just begun." In the days following the great battle, the forest thrived with renewed energy. The wounds inflicted by the new dawn healed swiftly, and nature's harmony was restored under Aiden's guidance and the clan's watchful care. Yet, for Aiden, victory carried a new weight of challenges and questions. Now that the immediate threat had passed, he had to confront the complexities of his newfound reality. One afternoon, as he strolled through the forest with Cole, Aiden found the courage to ask the question that had haunted him. "Dad," he started, voice unsteady, "why did you really leave me? Was there no other way?" Cole's sigh was deep and filled with regret. Pain flickered in his eyes as he spoke. "Aiden, my boy, not a day has gone by that I haven't regretted that decision. But at the time, I believed it was the only way to keep you safe." They sat on a fallen log, and Cole unfolded the tale of the new dawn's discovery of the clan and its power. He recounted the threat they posed to destroy the entire forest unless the clan cooperated. "I left you with the wolf, knowing he'd guide you to safety," Cole explained. "Then I surrendered to the new dawn, pretending to betray the clan to gain their trust and sabotage them from within." Aiden listened in silence, emotions churning. A part of him understood, but the pain of abandonment lingered. "I love you, Aiden," Cole said, taking his son's hands, "and I am forever grateful to Marcus and Isabel for raising you with love." Slowly, Aiden nodded. "I forgive you, Dad, and I love you too." Their embrace was laden with years of unspoken emotions, a bond that, though tested by time and circumstance, had never truly broken. Meanwhile, in another corner of the forest, Stella met with Vivian, discussing the clan's future. "Aiden's power surpasses anything we've ever witnessed," Stella said, her voice wavering with a mix of awe and trepidation. "What does this mean for us, for the balance of the forest?" Vivian's lips curled into a knowing smile. "It means, dear Stella, that we are stepping into a new era. Aiden is not just a guardian. He is the bridge that connects our world to the world beyond." Stella's heart raced, and she felt a flush rise to her cheeks. "And what is my role in all this?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The elder woman gently took Stella's hands in hers, the warmth between them steadying the younger woman's nerves. "You, my child, are Aiden's anchor. Your bond with him, your love, is what keeps him grounded." That evening, the clan gathered in the clearing for a celebration. With Stella at his side, Aiden stepped forward to address the crowd. "We have faced many trials and emerged stronger," he began, his voice steady and resolute. "But our journey is far from over. The world is shifting, and we must adapt. We can no longer remain hidden in the shadows." A ripple of surprise moved through the gathering. Aiden continued, his eyes meeting those of each clan member. "I propose that we open our doors to the outside world and share the importance of preserving nature and the balance we hold sacred. Only then can we ensure that what happened with New Dawn will never repeat." Stella stepped up beside him, her voice clear and confident. "We will become guardians not just of this forest, but of all forests, ambassadors for nature in a world that has forgotten its significance." The response was a mixture of enthusiasm and uncertainty. Some voiced concerns about exposure to the outside, while others nodded in agreement, seeing the wisdom in Aiden's and Stella's words. Finally, Vivian rose, her presence commanding. Aiden and Stella are right. Isolation is no longer an option. Let us vote. To Aiden's delight, the majority sided with him. It was decided that they would begin cautiously, reaching out to nearby communities and teaching about the necessity of environmental stewardship. As the celebration carried on, Aiden slipped away for a moment of quiet. His loyal wolf companion padded up to him, eyes wise and understanding. "We've come a long way, haven't we, my friend?" Aiden murmured, running his hand through the thick fur. The wolf's gaze held his, and Aiden felt the familiar, comforting voice resonate in his mind. "There is still a long road ahead, young guardian, but you will not walk it alone." A peaceful smile broke across Aiden's face as he looked back at the clearing where the clan danced and laughed, catching sight of Stella searching for him. With one final scratch behind the wolf's ears, he turned back to join the revelry. The following months were a whirlwind of activity for Aiden and the clan. Implementing the changes they had envisioned brought challenges greater than they had anticipated. Each step toward embracing the outside world came with new hurdles and unforeseen concerns. One bright morning, as Aiden and Stella oversaw the construction of an environmental education center at the forest's edge, a familiar voice rang out. "Aiden!" He turned quickly to see Marcus and Isabel hurrying toward him, faces alight with joy. "Mom! Dad!" Aiden's heart leaped as he rushed to meet them, embracing them tightly. Though they had stayed connected by phone, it was the first time they had seen each other since he left the cabin. Isabel's eyes glistened as she gently cupped Aiden's face. "We've heard all about the changes you're making. We're so proud of you, son." Aiden introduced them to Stella, and together they guided his parents through the village, explaining their plans and recounting the harrowing events of the battle with New Dawn and Aiden's awakening powers. "It's a lot to take in," Marcus said, his voice deep with emotion, "but if anyone can handle it, it's you, Aiden." As they strolled, Cole appeared. The air thickened with tension as he met Marcus and Isabel's eyes for the first time. It was Cole who broke the silence. "Marcus, Isabel, there are no words that can truly express my gratitude. You gave Aiden the love and home I could not. I owe you a debt I can never repay." Isabel, ever the most compassionate, was the first to step forward and wrap Cole in a heartfelt embrace. "You did what you thought was right, and now Aiden has the love of 3 parents. That can't be a bad thing, can it?" Marcus, though initially hesitant, finally reached out his hand to Cole. "For Aiden," he said simply. Aiden watched the scene with his heart swelling. The 2 worlds that once seemed so distant were now coming together. That evening, during a dinner that brought the entire extended family together, Aiden stood up to make an announcement. "I've been thinking a lot about our future," he began. "About how we can protect not just this forest, but forests everywhere. And I believe I've found a way." All eyes at the table turned to him, full of anticipation. "I propose we establish a foundation," Aiden continued, "an organization that merges the ancestral wisdom of our clan with modern science. We'll collaborate with governments, other organizations, and local communities to safeguard ecosystems worldwide." Stella stood to join him. "We've already reached out to scientists and activists who are excited about this idea. With our knowledge and their resources, we can truly make a difference." The room erupted in support. Vivian, eyes glistening with emotion, raised her glass. "To a new dawn," she toasted, "one that honors our past while embracing the future." In the days that followed, Aiden and Stella threw themselves tirelessly into their plan. Soon, the Guardian of the Forest Foundation became a reality, with Aiden as its charismatic leader and Stella as the strategic mastermind. Marcus and Isabel decided to move closer to the clan, acting as bridges between the ordinary world and the mystical realm of the forest. Cole, on the other hand, embarked on journeys across the globe, building alliances with groups dedicated to protecting nature and seeking out others with abilities like Aiden's. A year after their battle with New Dawn, Aiden stood atop a hill, gazing out at the forest he cherished. Stella approached and intertwined her fingers with his. "What's on your mind?" she asked softly. Aiden smiled. "How much everything has changed. How much I've changed." Stella leaned her head on his shoulder. "You've grown into your role as guardian. I'm proud of you. I couldn't have done this without you," Aiden said, his voice full of gratitude. Emerging from the trees, the forest stood beside them, no longer just a protector but a partner in their new mission. "Ready for our next adventure?" Stella asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Aiden nodded, feeling the forest's energy surging within him, the love of his family giving him strength and an unwavering resolve guiding his path. "Ready," he said with conviction. "Let's make this world a better place, one forest at a time." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Aiden, Stella, and the wolf descended the hill, prepared to face whatever challenges awaited them. The wolf's call echoed in the fading light, a call to adventure, to protection, to love. And so, the boy once abandoned in the forest had become its guardian, finding along the way not just his destiny, but a true family and his place in the world. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around till the end. So, as we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on Aiden's journey. Remember, this story is purely fictional, but it sheds light on some real, deep truths. Aiden was fortunate to find a loving family after a heart-wrenching beginning, and he grew up surrounded by people who cherished him and believed in his potential. But in the real world, there are countless kids who face abandonment, hardship, and don't get the happy endings they deserve. For them, life isn't always filled with mystical forests and loyal wolves to guide them home. The lesson from Aiden's story: it's a powerful reminder of resilience, the strength of love, and how embracing one's roots and purpose can lead to incredible growth. It also shows that support, whether from family, friends, or an unexpected protector, can change everything. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you take away from Aiden's adventure? Did his bond with nature resonate with you? Drop your insights in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. And remember, out here, we can be that guardian for someone who needs it. Until next time, take care and spread kindness.